The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, welcome to the second in the Logic Monitor's World's Shortest Webinar series. Today's brief talk is going to be about setting up Netscaler monitoring in a thorough and comprehensive way and getting it going in minutes. Brief bit of background about myself. My name is Steve Francis. I'm one of the founders and CEO of Logic Monitor, and I ran the data centers for a variety of large networks in my career. Citrix Online was one of them, but that was actually before they were Citrix. Expert City, FastClick, the University of California, National Geographic, and me and my co-founders never found a good, easy-to-use monitoring system that was powerful enough for large-scale data center operations, so we went off and built one. So let's have a quick look at what we can do. So one of the first questions we always get is, given that we are a hosted service, how can we collect data from inside your data centers without compromising your security or firewalls? So this is a very quick overview of how we do that. There are white papers and so forth on our website if you care for more information. But the users do download a small Java application. It can run on Windows or Linux or Solaris or anything. It just runs inside the data center. Has no listening sockets. It only makes an outgoing SSL connection to our servers, so everything's encrypted. It's only an outgoing connection. It pulls down its configuration from the central Logic Monitor server clusters, and using the instructions contained therein, gets told to talk to various devices over SNMP or NTP using various APIs or JDBC or WMI. So it collects the data and then posts the data back using an outgoing SSL connection. So there's no listening sockets, no security changes needed to your firewalls. So let's have a quick look at how that works in real life. This is a dashboard that you can set up. We might come back and look at that in a second, but the point of this one is to show how quickly Netscaler monitoring can be set up. So I currently have one Netscaler here. I'm going to define a new one from scratch. So all we say is new host. All we need to do is give it an IP address or DNS name. In this case, that's the DNS name. I'm just going to call it Scalar2 just to demonstrate that the display name can be different from the IP address. And I'm going to put it in a group. And that's it. We submit that, and we're done. So if we look at this host now, okay, we know very little about it now. We've discovered that it is a Netscaler, and so we're going to ping it and do some NTP checks on it. But now in the background, the agent is polling the device, figuring out what VIPs it has, what interfaces, and so forth. So if we look at it now, there's more information reported. It's found all the interfaces. It's found, this one has two physical interfaces that are aggregated together in one logical link layer. It's found various service groups and policies. If we refresh this display again, okay, now we've found pretty much everything about this Netscaler without doing any work. So we found the content switching VIPs. We can look at them. We've got all the load balancing VIPs. An interesting feature that we do support is you can automatically classify discovered objects into production, staging, or various other classifications. So you can put on filters on them, and then that automatically applies different thresholds. So with no work, we've configured this Netscaler for complete monitoring, health checking, performance monitoring in, 20 seconds. Obviously, there's no history about this Netscaler because we just added it. So we'll go look at a Netscaler we've been monitoring a bit longer to see the same kind of information, but just to get a bit of information about what you do get with this monitoring. So in the global status, actually let me slide this across so we have a bit more screen real estate. Global status, we get our global CPU, memory, total requests per second, connections, number of incoming traffic, and queued connections, and so forth. Fairly standard stuff. More interestingly, we can look at all the load balancing VIPs, all the content switching VIPs. So for instance, these are all the load balancing VIPs that have been configured on this particular Netscaler. For any particular one of them, we can go in and get more detail about it. So if we look at this one, we can see that there are two backend servers up. The throughput for this individual load balancing VIP, total number of requests and connections, and scroll down a bit, there'll be a time to first byte. Also, a useful tool is that we automatically create overview graphs so that you can see, if you see a large spike in requests coming into your Netscaler, it's no longer a guessing game as to figure out which virtual IP is the target of that traffic. So you can see all the VIPs automatically created here. You can look at this graph at higher detail You can deselect any of them to clear them off the graph. You can change the time frame. You can zoom out to as far out as a year. You can zoom into arbitrary time periods, and the graph will redraw appropriately. So that's you can actually download the data behind the graph, or you can download the graph itself. So that's a very powerful tool there. Makes troubleshooting very easy. Further information that we present is your load balancing VIPs will be bound to either services or service groups. We automatically discover them and have the same similar information. So here we have the services that are associated with a specific load balancing VIP. So we were just looking at this one. So we can see there's 2 services bound to this load balancing VIP. And again, we track the information down to the individual object level, the requests and the search queue for this individual service, but again, we also automatically create aggregate graphs and overview graphs. So as well as the traffic and throughput and performance, we're also checking the synchronization between the devices, the hardware status, whether there's fans failed, whether one part of the HA cluster is synchronized with the other one correctly, and the disk space on the individual Netscalers. This one has some policies in place. If it had integrated caching enabled or global server load balancing, you'd see monitoring on that as well. All this information is available to be displayed on a dashboards that can be quickly customized. So if, for instance, you wanted to display if you found this an important graph, you can easily add it to your dashboard just by clicking this and selecting adding it to our Netscaler dashboard. Submit that and you're done. So we can go look at those dashboards. So this is a Netscaler dashboard. This is the graph we just added. We can drag this around, rearrange it to it is where we want it to be. So as long as I grab it, yeah, let's put it there. This is a filtered view of alerts, so you can see only alerts that relate to all the Netscalers that are happening in real time now. We have other dashboards as well. This is a dashboard about NetApp monitoring, operations on an aggregate level and particular volume level, but that's about it. You can see the ease that we've configured this Netscaler with, and the detail and depth that you get with it, and all the alerts happening automatically. We do have 2 questions that popped up. One is, given if we have Citrix Command Center, why would we use Logic Monitor? It's a good question. We do have people that have both. So Citrix Command Center obviously requires you to have a fairly beefy server, and it doesn't monitor everything by default. It's a great configuration management tool for deploying software versions and configuring your Netscalers. If you want to monitor specific load balancing VIPs or content switching VIPs, it doesn't do that by default. You actually have to go through and enable that. With Logic Monitor, if you add a load balancing VIP, Logic Monitor is going to detect it, automatically monitor it. You can apply rules so that you can determine whether that VIP is production or staging and apply different thresholds automatically. So you can say, I only want warnings on my staging VIPs. I want errors or criticals on my production level VIPs, which can then have different alert escalations. You don't want to be woken up at 2 in the morning by a non-production level VIP having a back-end server go out of service. So monitoring with Logic Monitor is much, much easier than with Command Center and doesn't require any infrastructure. Yeah, so another question that I got, which I think we already answered, is this a Netscaler-only monitoring tool? And the answer is no. You can monitor your entire infrastructure. So you can monitor your web servers, your storage arrays, whether the system's running Apache. This happens to be a Linux server, so you can see Apache throughput, requests per second, whether the chassis status is healthy, and everything else you need to know, CPU utilization, memory swap rate. And so I think that's it. We know your time is valuable. This is one of the world's shortest webinars, so we're trying to wrap it up quickly. So let's just go back to a few quick takeaways. It really is that quick and easy. Add the host, you're done. Logic Monitor keeps it up to date. You don't have to worry about changing anything. So it's everything you want, performance and availability monitoring done automatically, not just for Netscalers. It covers the rest of your infrastructure too. It's a very affordable hosted service, as low as $300 a month for up to 25 hosts. And if you want further information, this webinar will be posted up at the worldshortestwebinars.com. You can, of course, go to logicmonitor.com, email us, give us a call. And if you're interested in an extended free trial, do reference this code, which will be emailed out to the participants as well. And that's it. Thank you very much. We look forward to hearing from you.